sure will. The Easton Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, June 17, 2025 at 6:35 p.m. at the Easton Town Hall, Colleen Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Easton, Mass. On the petition special permit Mark P. and Pauline Goulardi, I hope I said that right, for property located at 20 Leisure Lane in Easton. Assessor's map 47U, lot 20G, and a special permit pursuant to Easton Code Book, Chapter 235, zoning, Section 235-56, special permits, and 235-15, capital B4, to allow a home occupation with up to 2 non-resident employees. The agenda is posted at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. The notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. I'll read the comments. Building Department recommended, Police Department complete, Planning and Zoning Board recommended, Board of Health says this will require a 2-component tank for septic system. The Water Division did not recommend. It says the plans show a separate water service to the barn. A single property cannot have more than one water service. Thus, water to the barn must come from the existing service. The environmental planner recommends, and the historical affordable housing trust not applicable.
Okay, you want to introduce yourself for the record, and then you can move along.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you so much, Chair. My name is Alex Giraldi from 20 Leisure Lane, and presenting to the board for essentially the property at 20 Leisure Lane for home occupations. So we're looking to work on I'll bring up some pictures I have attached. We are looking to work on the second floor of the newly finished building located at 20 Leisure Lane. Work conducted is that of small-scale, low-voltage OEM electronics manufacturing. In my special letter application, I addressed all 17 points, Section 235-15A, B, 235-56B. The only article of conflict that I found was in Section 235-15B, Article 2, which states, is conducted within a dwelling solely by the persons occupying the dwelling as a primary residence and in addition to the residence of the premises, but not more than 2 additional employees, as Mr. Kay had mentioned. It is within this article that I would ask the board to grant a concession to this one term. The granting of additional employees would be requested to help maintain operations. These additional employees would follow procedural guidelines to ensure that articles under 235-15A are met. The concession of this one term also ensures our continuation of educational community benefits. This comes in the form of student programs that we offer to schools in the surrounding areas. In my application letter under 235-56B, Article 1, regarding social, economic, or community needs which are served by the proposal, I outlined our previous community benefits by volunteering our services to educational establishments such as Blue Hill Regional Technical School and Worcester Polytech Institute. Additionally, we have recently been in talks with directors of Southeastern Regional Vocational Technical High School in regards to offering these services to their engineering students. As a born and raised Easton resident, offering these services in my hometown holds a special place for me. The allowance of a couple more non-residential employees also poses no strain to Section 235-56B, Article 2, pertaining to parking, given that the premises feature adequate parking space without the need of street parking. This helps to keep the public streets clear. So with approval of the board, we would request a concession to Article 1. I'm also happy to answer other questions, and I've got a couple pictures as well here. First picture slide up here is actually a technical drawing from Eric Diaz from Strong Point Engineering. This is your basic blueprint here, if you will, of where the new building is in relation to the existing dwelling. You can see the existing dwelling here. That's the home at 20 Leisure Lane. The building was established with its location here over several months with Conservation Committee because of lines for preservation and all that. So here is the top down of the proposed building that we did in 2022, and the actual physical thing looks a little better than that drawing, but it is, give me my bearings. So here's a front facing view of the structure and a side view. This is the back entranceway. In addition to these, Suzanne had mentioned maybe a couple pictures inside, just to give you guys an aspect of what we're doing. This is a small bench, smaller than your kitchen table, and as I made in the onset of my speech here, that we make electronics components for music composers, producers, that type of stuff. Small, low voltage electronics gear that helps accommodate musicians when making music. Like, if you've ever listened to any song on the radio, you've probably heard something that has a product that we make. And we do this with a very small staff of people. And like I said, we also do programs with schools for like internships, work study stuff. But that's essentially, what we do here as like I guess you'd call it probably light duty manufacturing here. Everything's done with small hand tools for the most part, soldering irons, and we're kind of an outfit that gets the privilege of marrying artistic freedom and creativity with utility for an ever-expanding music world, because whether we realize it or not, music is part of everybody's life. And that's pretty much the operations. There's also a lot of computer work. There's emails, there's boring stuff like that. So, it's not what you would think of when somebody thinks of a generic business. But that's essentially what we do, and we've got a small crew of people that love doing it. And I'm happy to answer questions about it. As Suzanne had also mentioned, if I wanted to bring up something like a website for us to show you guys products, if you guys are interested in seeing that type of stuff. I know it's more about the logistics of stuff here, though.
Okay.
And the only reason I brought up that one concern for a concession was having a couple more people on the premises helps everything. Like I said, we're big with the community for education, especially with Polytech Institutes. And as I mentioned in my thing, being from Easton, getting to work with, the VOTech over on Foundry would be a great opportunity for us as well.
Do you have any comments from the public?
I just speak in support. Paul.
Yes.
Hurley.
So just come on up to the microphone and tell your name and your address for the record.
Sure. Paul Hurley, 25 Leisure Lane. Good to see you this evening. I can't say enough good things about Alex and Mark and the Giraldis, just in general. Good neighbors. From a business standpoint, you wouldn't know there's a business there if there's any concern with that. You saw the facade of the building. It's gorgeous, fits in residential feel and look to it. Similarly, there's not any noise or disruption. I live just past this building down to the end of the cul-de-sac. Very friendly staff. I see them every once in a while. They go out for a little company walk. They'll walk for like a stress relieving walk. Other than that, you do not see them. You won't see them at all. So there's not any noise. I think the building, not quite finished. Mark is also a stickler. The landscaping will be spectacular when that's done. But the building itself, I think, came out amazing. And no concerns from my perspective with Alex and the business.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you, Paul.
Hello, my name is Margaret, although I go by Peg Holda, at 21 Leisure Lane, directly across the street from the property. And I am in full support of the venture and for the request that Alex is making of this committee. Having observed the activities of his firm, there is no noise, no traffic. You'd never know that they were building these extraordinary pieces of musical equipment, true artistry and craftsmanship. Everybody from his team that I have met is respectful, responsive, just great people to be with. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have as an immediate abutter, but I've observed the entire construction of the building, which is great, And now this most recent request to make it possible for this small business to continue to thrive. We're at a point where we want to encourage people to be able to do startups and contribute. And this is an example of exactly the type of business that can make a difference for our community and bring music to all of us. Where do you want it? Here?
Yeah.
All right, still on. Should I turn it off?
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Appropriate to ask me a question.
You can, yeah.
Yes. Miss Holda, is it?
Yes.
Could I just, are there any conditions that you would think would be appropriate on this, like hours of operation or number of daily trips in and out or anything like that?
I'm not concerned about any conditions at all. It has been the practice of the business to be a Monday through Friday, daytime type of an enterprise. But again, given the fact that there is no traffic, no noise, no gathering of people and causing any type of concern in the neighborhood, I don't have any restrictions that I would ask of this committee on the application.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public?
For questions?
Yep.
Yes, excuse me, and I'm Jean Rummel, asking as a member of the public. When you submitted this plan to Concom for the accessory structure that appears to be a garage, what was the use that you proposed at the time to Conservation Commission?
To the Conservation Committee, we proposed actually at the start of this project that that would be a space for small operations.
For your
For the
business,
business, yes.
For this kind of business?
Yes, for this type of business, yeah, exactly.
And what is the square footage of the accessory structure?
Ooh. Can I call upon my father to answer that? He's a stickler for numbers.
Yeah, just,
It's 2,688 square feet.
thank you, and what is, what percentage of that,
And 2 floors.
It's 2 floors, yes.
what percentage of that square footage is for business use?
He's got-
Just the top half.
Yeah, this is top.
Just the top half.
Okay, so about 1,300 square foot. What is the square footage of the residential dwelling?
The house,
The house, yeah.
3,000 square feet.
So there's no use downstairs whatsoever for the business, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and when you use the word couple more, I mean, this is all friendly and we obviously have neighbor support, but what do you mean couple more, how many more?
I guess it's a bit of an ambiguous term. I would say the fact that I didn't have a hard number is probably intentionally ambiguous, not as a malicious or deceiving thing, but like I said, we sometimes will have interns that we work with that'll come in maybe 1 day a week or something like that. Or we have a couple part-time people that we have a lot of programs actually with Berklee College of Music where Berklee students will actually come and they're interested in music. They're interested in the stuff behind it. We make that. So I guess if I had to give so the bylaw states 2 non-residential. If I had to say conservatively, looking for 2 more.
So a total of 4?
4, but that would also be, to be fair, at most, because some days it might just be 1 person. Because it's not a strict corporate 9 to 5 type of thing. We have flexibility with our employees. Like I mentioned, some of them are in school, some of them commute. We also have work-study things. So the people there partaking, I guess actually the best way to answer this would be at max 4.
Is that in addition to the folks who own the house who are also working there?
The folks that own the house are not working there, though. So, like my mother and father that live at the property, they don't work with us.
Oh, but do you count yourself among the 4 that work there, or are you talking, when you're talking about these additional non-residential employees, do you include yourself in that number?
Yeah, I'd say so. So it'd be myself and then let's say 3 others, I would say.
Okay, thank you. You made reference to section 23515B, and this is also in your letter, in citing the fact that home occupation can be allowed by special permit with not more than 2 additional employees. Are you not requesting a variance then?
I guess if that would be the technical term, if that's, I guess then I would answer your question, yes, I guess I think maybe I used the word concession of like, the bylaw states 2, and I didn't know what we have for variance on that. If it's allowed, obviously we're not saying like 30, 40 people, like, we'd like to have 4 people in there. That's generally the max that we work at. That's a good size and space for us. It's just 2 is a bit shortcoming for even the small operations that we do. So I guess if variance is the correct word, Gene, I would say variance.
And again, I don't know, I mean, were you advised to come in under a special permit? Because I am a bit of a Neanderthal, I read the special permit saying you can have, well, you're welcome to a home occupation if you have not more than 2 additional employees. So would you agree then that you couldn't do what you're requesting without more than 2?
Correct. Yeah, we would need more than 2. Yes, and the only inclination from correspondence that I've had of anybody at the town was that of Stephanie Danielson. She had mentioned that if you have more than 2, this is very loose wordage and a non-formal thing that would be okay depending on the permit or the appeal. So that was something that ushered me into this request. Also, 4 people help us to maintain businesses just for.
I think
Sure.
you've made a good argument for it. I'm just wondering whether it's appropriately a special permit. Thank you. Nothing.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay,
appreciate it.
members of the board. John, do you want to start, sir?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
No questions.
George? Jeremy?
There was something in there about the 2 water meters. Do you have a response to that, or?
So the last correspondence I had with DPW, we had one of the members of DPW come over here to check the hookup from the main building at 20. I can actually bring up how it goes if you're interested in that. Essentially, I think it stated it when you had mentioned, when you did the reading, that you can't have like 2 services or hookups onto a
what it said.
single plot. There is actually, when this building was being constructed, they actually did tie water in from the main house. And I want to say it was 2 weeks ago that one of the members of DPW came over to check, and he said it was all good. Again, I don't know if you have to go through a network. I'm not just going to take my word, but water hookup to the barn was through the main house, obviously underground, through civil engineering, all of that type of stuff.
Okay, it sounds like that's what they wanted.
Yeah, I think so, because like you said, you can't have 2 services to 1 plot, so they had to tie it in.
So I have another question, just about what you do. Does anyone else do this, and do they do it typically? And like, do you have other people other companies that make these kind of products? And
Sure.
And do they do it out of their home?
I would venture to guess conservatively 80% of people do it out of their home, because as you saw in the picture that I had brought up here, a lot of what we can do honestly starts from a hobby standpoint like myself, and then becomes something that you get passionate about, and other people see that passion and that transferal. That picture right there, that's what we need to pretty much make everything. It's just sourcing parts, electronics that most of us probably know, even if they don't know what they do. We've probably seen a computer inside of it and like, oh, I don't know what those gizmos do, but I really like when my phone does this thing. We do that for the music world. And I guess to answer your question, most people in our industry that I'm close friends with, they do it out of their home. They do it out of apartments. Most of my friends make this stuff in their kitchen table in their spare time. They just don't have it scaled, at least to like a small business like us. It's more of a personal endeavor.
How do your customers find you?
Well, we live in the greatest era of internet, so awareness through internet is great. Word of mouth. I myself and my colleague Jordan, who's here today, we do a lot of stuff with schools and organizations. Like I mentioned, Worcester Polytech is a great one for us, where we actually will host classes or we'll do events with coordinators there. Word of mouth is a great thing in our community, so people will go to events and exhibits. My best example is, think about, most of us probably have not been to, but they know the word Comic-Con. They know it's a convention where comic book folk love to get together. We have those events in Anaheim, and we have them in Nashville, and it's on a 6-month cycle. It's been going on for 60 or 70 years. So there's a community there that will come just to see all of the stuff that's new and cool, and then when they go back off to where they are in their respective homes, they use the internet, they use the power of YouTube. I do a lot of podcast stuff where I'll be interviewed for various shows, because that helps word of mouth. We're a small business, so we wear multiple hats here, and the best way is honestly, if you went on the internet and you're going to look up like, you know what, I need to get a fire extinguisher, you'd probably just go on Google. A lot of people will look up a specific type of effect that our world does and makes, and they might find us because we have good SEO or other internet boring stuff that I don't have to talk about here because it's jargon. But mainly people find us through the internet, find us through word of mouth, friends, our neighbors. Sometimes Paul, who had mentioned before, he had went to a concert recently and the person playing in the band had already heard of our stuff, which is always humbling and kind of impressive too, because we live in the golden era of it feels like everything. So to actually be seen through everything is kind of impressive because there's so many people out there that do really good work and good stuff. And I bet you that person found out because that person enjoys that type of stuff that we make, and they found us through some means. But I would say really the short answer is the internet, you know.
So, and you had mentioned that you don't have like a strict like corporate like 9 to 5 kind of work day. Is it mostly during the week, or are there a certain time? I know your neighbors didn't have particular concerns about it. I'm just wondering how far it could expand if there. I'm trying to figure out if there are any limits that should be placed on it. So I'll ask you, like,
Sure. I think
what can you live with?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a fair question because it could put strain on the community. And I think when I said 9 to 5 corporate, I may have been using a colloquial of like punching the clock, whereas we're a little bit looser with our employees because we have part-time people, we have interns. But generally, we run, since this building has been built, it's always better when I have a picture of it. When the building was built, we kind of enforced a strict like 9 to 5 just for the courtesy of our abutting neighbors, like Peggy and Steve, who had mentioned that they haven't had complaints. We don't want to push that. We don't want to be working there till midnight. We don't want to have the lights on. We try to be very, very low on like the noise floor type of thing. So I guess I would say we don't have aspirations or desires to expand upon a 5 o'clock type of thing in general, because honestly, sometimes I don't want to work that long, even though I do have to work longer as a small business owner, you know.
One more question. I think is my last one. Sure. So I have similar concerns to Gene about whether we can actually do this, issue a special permit that would allow you to have 4 additional employees. So I'm just trying to picture it. Like, are you talking about including yourself? Sure. Would you say that there are times when you would want to have 4 people there, or might there be time, or might it be limited to no more than 2 people at a time?
You're asking kind of like, might there be 4 people on a roster, but only 2 at a time?
Right. Like if I was to interpret this special permit to allow not more than 2 additional employees at any one time, and that maybe gets you to 4 people, but not 4 people at a time, would that satisfy your need, or do you need to have 4 people there at certain times?
You know, I would say the way that the business ebbs and flows with stuff is that there may be, as I mentioned to Gene prior, there may be days where we would want to or need to have 4 people in one place at a time. And there are days where it might just be 1 or 2 because of our flexibility in scheduling. I guess I would say it's not a hard and fast, we would need 4 every day. But I guess just having that buffer allotted of like, if today's like, it's a Monday, we have a lot of order fulfillment, having 4 people there, we don't want to raise any red flags, but just like having that, I guess I would say concession would be beneficial for us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm just not sure if we're able to do it.
You all set with questions?
Yeah, I'm all set with questions.
Ron?
The only thing, I have no idea what you do,
That's okay.
but my concern is, I assume you make something and it's bigger than a bread box, or
No.
smaller?
Small.
Small?
And
Oh, okay.
ships in the post box.
So FedEx isn't coming and taking 20 of these at a time or something?
Most of our stuff is actually through the post office, and part of that might be a bias of my folks worked for the post office government collectively for about 70 years total, so it kind of feels nice to be able to like do post office for that. Also, small packages, keep it for a post office thing. Yeah, but yeah, we don't have a. We honestly probably get less deliveries than a person that orders a lot of Amazon, if you will. Just to be fair.
Mr. Guaraldi, is this property your primary residence?
This property, no longer actually anymore. I was raised, lived there for 34 years, I believe. I'm now a resident of Assonet Village in Freetown. I will say I'm probably here half of my life still, as a person that works there with my father, helps my mother when they go on vacation, watching the cat, that type of stuff. You know what I mean? I do get mail there still because of how long I had lived there, plus business type of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think this is a special permit, and this is when I was reviewing everything. My challenge with the special permit is requires that it is for the person occupying the dwelling as a primary residence, which you are not.
Okay.
And also, it's a maximum of 2 people, not 2 additional employees. I want to grant this because I think it's a good business for town for what it's doing. It's just not a special permit. This is a variance application.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is to withdraw without prejudice and reapply as a variance, because if I'm following the bylaws, which is our job, I would have to deny this because this is not a special permit application.
Okay.
And you can do as you wish. You can decide, nope, I want to move forward with this.
Okay.
Or you can say, well, I would like to withdraw without prejudice and reapply as a variance.
As a variance.
Yeah, it's just not a special permit.
Okay, I think the only reason I mentioned special, I went special permit because that was the way I was told to go.
Yeah, and that's great. The staff in town hall, super helpful. Not always right. I mean, part of this is this just is not a special permit application. This is a variance application. So for me, I'm just telling you as the chair, my recommendation, as much as I like everything you did, I think you did a fantastic job putting everything together. Very well spoken, very clear plan, what you want to do. I understand exactly what you do because I've done that stuff. And it's just not a special permit.
Okay.
So I'm kind of, my hands are tied here.
Right.
So we want to work with you. We got to make sure we're getting it under the.
Is it right thing, wrong form type of thing?
It is, well, it's just not a special permit. So when you're filling out everything, there really should have been an application for a variance.
Okay.
And all the rest of the paperwork is correct.
Sure.
You know, what we're looking for is we're looking for a variance. It's not a primary, this is not my primary residence, although it's the primary residence. Like, right now, you're a registered business of the town, so you're a DBA or you're a corporation?
DBA.
DBA, and it's in your name or yours and your father's?
My name, not my father's, yeah.
And not your father? I'm trying to...
Right.
Because then again, if it's your father, he's the primary resident, this is much easier to do.
Sure.
That's all.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we want to work with you on this, but the way we're going about this right now, like this just not going to work.
Okay.
And I'm sorry you got the wrong information from whoever you spoke with. It's okay. And
Well, I trusted you. You guys know more about this than myself, so.
so, you know, I personally would suggest that you withdraw without prejudice and either reapply as a variance or change how you're formed, you know, who's owner of the business,
Sure.
at least on the town form.
Sure.
And then this becomes much easier to do. But right now, it's like our job is to step through. Do you meet this? Yes. Do you meet this? Yes. Do you meet this? Yes. Do you meet this? No.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to deliberate on, okay, this is a no, but is this a big deal? But right now, like we I mean, 2 hits right off the bat with the more than 2, which I don't think for what your business is doing is earth-shattering, but the not your primary residence, which both Part A, 235-15 A and B, solely by the person occupying the dwelling as a primary residence.
Sure.
And we don't meet that.
Sure, yeah, because obviously when I had moved out, I
Yep.
still kept businesses there.
Yeah. Yep. Totally get it.
So
But
you're saying move back in with my folks.
that's fine too, whatever you want. I mean, listen, my kids haven't left either, so yeah. But that's what we got to do. Like I said, we want to work with you on it, but we just want to make sure we don't have to jump too many hurdles to make it happen. And I think this really is a variance application, or add your father or your mother to the business, and now they are a primary resident.
Okay,
Make sense?
sure, yeah, I can get that information after the hearing, obviously.
Yeah.
Later.
So what would you like to do, sir?
Is it right now I'd have to make the decision?
Right, because if you're going to do that, because we then would either have to deliberate and come up with a decision, or you withdraw without prejudice, and then we move on, and then you're just going to reapply.
Gotcha. Whereas if you're saying, like, I'd like to go forward with this and I will make the changes, is it?
No. What's that?
Sorry, so if option is take a step back and go to a variance is option A. Option B would be go forward with this while letting you know in earnest I would be changing things? Are those the two
Yeah, we
options?
can't take people's words.
Yeah,
for
and
stuff.
that's what I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Because it sounds like the variance is the way to
Because
go.
what would happen is, you're here asking for a special permit.
Sure.
Our job is to make a decision. So if you're like, well, I'm going to make these changes, we can't do it. We got to base on what we have in front of us.
Sure,
And then we would-
because I could say all day that I'm going to do it.
that is correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like based on the options, what I've presented kind of is a variance request. So it sounds like that's the route
Yeah,
to
so
go.
no, and this is one of the things that most folks don't understand, special permit versus variance. Variance is a different chapter in Mass General Law, it's Chapter 48, Section 10, and basically you're asking for something that's not allowed. So a special permit is something that's a little bit of a stretch, but things are defined in the zoning bylaws that if you meet these certain criteria, and also the economic, impact, et cetera, we can do that as a board, but a variance is a different standard. You're asking to do something that the zoning bylaws don't allow.
Okay.
And then there's a different set of criteria to meet for that.
The variance route still goes through this board?
Still through this board.
It's just kind of a little bit of a different thing.
It's a little bit different, and then the criteria for meeting it are a little bit different. So it's shape, size, and topography of the land. There's 4 or 5 different specific characteristics you have to step through.
Sure.
I don't think there's necessarily anything particularly special about the piece of land, but it's really what you're asking us to do within the home occupation. You're really asking for a variance from 23515.
Okay, I think you kind of addressed it here, Chair. Like, it sounds like, sorry, what I was going to say. It sounds like, if you could say too, the criteria that we would meet for the variance sounds like we qualify, if you're able to even say that.
Well, there are different criteria. One, I would say step through that. If you're going to do it yourself, step through it. If not, you can hire an attorney. There's a good attorney sitting in the room. And that they can walk you through that process, or you can do it yourself. I think for what you're looking for, you can certainly talk. Mr. Splain's an attorney. We're here with the next client. They specialize in land use and stuff like that. You can certainly ask him questions, whether you want to hire him to help you, totally separate. I'm totally working for you, Mike. But either you can go that route, ask an attorney for some help, or step through it yourself. But there's just different criteria to go through. But what you're asking for here is not a special permit. You're asking for a variance because you're not the primary resident, and you're asking for more than 2 persons to be able to work, where the zoning bylaws clearly say it has to be a primary residence and it cannot be more than 2 additional employees. So,
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, so the way you're putting it too, it sounds like continuing with a special permit, I'd still have to make these changes, which you guys can't just trust that I'm going to do.
That's
So
correct.
So
So,
going
I mean-
forward doesn't even make sense. It sounds like you're saying going forward doesn't make sense with the special permit.
right, or unless you withdraw and reapply later, and add one of your parents to the business because they're primary resident. I mean, there are a number of ways you can do it. I'm not giving legal advice. We have another attorney sitting. We have a couple of attorneys sitting, 4. Good Lord. I'm outnumbered on the board. So I would certainly, get some legal advice on that. But what you want to do, I can't tell you what to do. I can only ask how you would like to proceed, present you with your options, and
Sure.
you let us know what you want to do.
Yeah, well, I guess the way that you've worded it is I'll go with the variance and,
Well, I think,
Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, I mean, do we have to vote, assuming, Mr. Giraldi, that you want to withdraw,
okay.
and it would be without prejudice, which means that you're free to come back later. We would still have to vote on that.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, I would essentially come back, it sounds like, under a variance as opposed to a special permit, right?
Right.
Well, how you choose to do it is up to you.
Elaborate on that, how I choose to do? Because you said this
Whether
is
it's
essentially-
special permit or variance, like I can't tell you
Right.
how to do it. I can give you advice,
Sure.
but
Well, it sounds like special permit kind of hit a dead end here. So,
but potentially.
oh, that's right, unless I change a couple terms and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, so I guess withdrawing that would be the way to go anyway, and then I figure out the way I want to go later.
Sure.
So withdrawal would be my choice here, and I'll assess how I go about it after, I guess.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, then I guess formal withdrawal without prejudice, I guess.
Without prejudice.
Would be the way we have to go, it sounds like.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to keep everything going kosher.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Sorry to waste your time.
No, it's not a waste of time. That's our job, our highly paid job. All right. So do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to permit Mr. Giraldi to withdraw his application without prejudice.
All right. Motion. Second. Great. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is 5-0, Suzanne? Yes. All right, Mr. Giraldi, you did a nice job with the presentation. Just bring it back and, how you choose to do it. Like I said, maybe you talk to an attorney on the best way to proceed.
Sure.
All right?
Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Are you ready, Mike? All right. Jeremy, do you want to read the next item
I sure will.
in?
The Easton Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, June 17, 2025 at 6:40 PM at the Easton Town Hall, Colleen Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Easton, Massachusetts, on the following petition. Variance, Stonebridge Homes, Inc., for property located at 40 Bristol Drive, South Easton, Mass. 02375, Assessors Map 34U, Lot 9B, for a variance pursuant to Easton Code Book, Chapter 235, zoning, Section 235-16A and 235-54.3B, to construct a two-story office building within the rear yard setback. The agenda will be posted at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. The notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. Comments. Planning Board recommends, Building Department recommends, Environmental Planner says incomplete wetland permit is required for work. Stormwater management must meet DEP Stormwater Handbook, wetland bylaws, and local bylaws. Board of Health says incomplete. Board of Health does not have an approved septic design for this site. Police Department, complete. Fire Department, complete. Water Division, no comment. Affordable Housing, no comment. Historical Commission, no comment.
Okay. We're good? You guys have you all ready to go?
We are all set.
All right, sir, at your leisure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Pleasure. Michael Spillane from Marioni, Shaughnessy, and Udy. On behalf of the applicant Stonebridge Homes, Mr. Mohammed Itani is here, principal, and also with me is Mr. Scott Rogers from J.K. Holmgren, the engineer and architects for the project. As our application indicated, we are seeking a variance to construct a building on this particular property on Bristol Drive, 40 Bristol Drive, that is going to encroach on the required setback. It's going to be about 11, I think it says 11.3 feet there. And really the reasoning for this request is given the, and I know how difficult it is to meet the shape and topography argument, but I actually think we've got a viable argument here for a couple of reasons. One, given this jog here and the need to construct parking on either side of the building, it's difficult to situate a building on this lot that's going to be functional. We've also got wetlands over here, and obviously, as Mr. Kay indicated, we've got to deal with the Conservation Commission on meeting the requirements in stormwater management. So that's still obviously in play. We also did a design that you may have seen of what it might look like if we were to just construct a building within the setback requirements, and it's barely functional. You've got, sort of a dumbbell-shaped building, and this essentially would just be a long hallway connecting, one end to the other. We meet every other requirement, and there's no other setback issues. We've got more than enough parking situated on site. And so at this point, we're just asking for the variance to be able to encroach on the rear lot. As you also know from our papers, the building at 6 Norfolk Ave, this is the corner of it right here, also received a variance, I think back in 2008 it was, or I've got the year, but it is also within the rear yard setback, 2009. Obviously, it's not controlling. There's no obligation of this board to grant us a variance just because the neighbor has a variance. But we do think it's a similarly situated building. Obviously, the building that we're proposing to construct is going to be showroom and office space for Mr. Itani's business. And, it's in sort of conformity with the other buildings that are within the industrial park. It's going to be similarly situated to most of those buildings, similar type use, similar in appearance, and we think it fits in with the area.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it, unless you got questions.
Okay. Great. Well, since there are no members of the public besides the applicants, did you want to say anything, sir?
No.
Okay.
I mean, Stonebridge Homes have been a member of this community. My name is Mohammed Itani. I reside on 24 Forest Edge Road in Easton, and my business is located at 32 Norfolk Ave, so we're just around the corner from this site. We've done multiple communities in Easton, Tanglewood Estates, Milestone Acres, Eastonwood, Cinnamon Ridge, Georgetown Estates. So we've done multiple communities in Easton, even though we don't have a community today in Easton, but hopefully in the future. We do have multiple communities around the area that we're currently developing. So this will be our office. We usually construct communities around half an hour drive around the office. Currently, we have communities in Lakeville, Guyton, West Bridgewater, Avon, Norfolk.
Sir, is the space you're in now? 'Cause, I see it's on the building. Is that a rental?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And we need to expand. The company has been growing. Currently, we have 30 employees. Half of them are in the office and half are on site. So we would like the board to look at this application favorably for us to have a showroom where homeowners can come in, choose their finishes, their kitchens, their flooring, and then the rest of it will be office space.
Fantastic. Ms. Rummel, as a member of the public, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Wow. Thanks. Members of the board, any questions?
No, Mr. Itani answered some of the questions that I was going to ask with your explanation. No, I don't have any Any questions?
Mr. Hardiman?
How far over the setback would the building protrude?
So this shows it is about 11 feet from the lot line, which puts it's a 40-foot setback requirement, so it's about 29 feet into the setback.
Okay.
But if you moved it this way, then you'd have the parking in the setback, and you'd have the parking behind the building. That's all going to be parking in the front there. I don't think it was on this slide, but we did submit an additional plan that did show all of the parking in the front and along the side. I think I've got it over there if you want to take a look at it.
Those dash lines that are on this picture that are vertical, I think, like there's the 100-foot line, the 50-foot line, the
Yep.
25-foot line. Are those any concern for the Conservation Committee? Has that been addressed?
Not yet, not yet. So this is step one, to see if we can even situate the building where we're proposing to put it. Assuming, or not assuming, but if you are kind enough to grant the variance application, the next step would be to go to Planning Board and to Conservation Commission. And, in theory, they could nullify the project, but at least we need to know whether or not we can even construct the building before we do that.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have no questions.
Mr. Hardiman?
The only question I'd have, that back area, will it have vehicle access?
Around the back of the building? I don't believe so, no. It's going to be landscaped or grass. And I believe there's a fence that separates the two lots.
The only question I had deals with the P&S, paragraph 26. It says minimum size of 6,000 square foot, including any basement, and the plans aren't for 6,000 square foot. So I just...
57, 60 square
Right.
feet?
Right, so I mean...
Do you want to waive that requirement with PNS?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The P&S, paragraph 26 says buyer intends to seek approval of the property into a commercial building of a minimum size of 6,000 square foot, excluding any basement. And the plans do not meet that.
I mean, that's the building, it's at a minimum of 6,000 square feet.
Right, and you don't meet that minimum.
Well, but it's two levels. It's gonna be 2 levels.
So you're saying 5,760 square foot per floor?
That's true.
I got you. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That clears that up. That was all I had.
How did you get the purchase and sales agreement?
It's part of the
submittal.
application. We submitted as part of the application.
It's all right, they hid the price. I was like, there's no price in here.
We do reject it, but
That's all I have. Any other questions?
Yeah, just as a point of information, the property behind is 6 Norfolk. What's the setback on that building?
so the actual setback on this plan, this concept plan was done before the actual on-the-ground survey being done. Based upon the assessor's map, that building is shown, it's actually located in the wrong place on this particular plan. So it's actually 26 feet off the setback, within the setback, or 14 feet within encroaching on the setback requirement. The corner of that building is actually at the corner of that jog on our parcel. It matches up almost identically. So for whatever reason, the assessors, and they're not done by surveys, so when the assessors map situated the building at 6 Norfolk, it just located in the wrong place, so.
So is it actually situated? It's closer than 26 feet. At least
No,
closer.
so this actually shows it as being 12 feet off the lot line. It's 26 feet off
I
the
see.
lot line.
Okay.
Okay.
When we did the actual survey on the ground, it turned out to be 26.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's still within the setback, and they still needed the variance.
And you said there's a fence at the back.
I believe there is, yeah.
Yeah, there's a fence.
Is there other, like, vegetation or trees or anything blocking?
I think it's just grass right now. I mean,
Currently,
there's,
it exists as a parking lot.
it's a parking lot
The
currently.
whole site is a parking lot
Yep.
at this point.
Okay.
What number Norfolk is it?
No, it's not.
That one is
Oh, 6.
6. So this is what the property looks like right now.
Never.
Okay.
and this is where the building would be.
I've never seen a car in that lot, ever.
Yeah.
There's enough
That's
parking
one
across the
thing in
street.
Easton Industrial Park is not lacking, is parking.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, Brian. I don't have any other questions.
All right, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing. Mr. Hardiman,
I'll second.
second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All right, that's 5-0 to close the hearings. Time to deliberate. One, I always want to make sure we step to the variance standard on any of these. So first, special circumstance relating to the soil condition, shape, or topography of such land or structure. I've been on that lot before. I mean, it's this weird bow tie lot. You can't do anything on it. I mean, if we're going to hold people to the strict standard of the guidelines. Literal interpretation would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise. There's no way to build anything with that for a literal interpretation. Desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to public good. It's in an industrial park. So I don't think we're dealing with any detriment to the public good. That's my own interpretation. Everybody has to make their own. Anybody want to discuss anything further on this, or anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application for a variance.
All right, Mr. Curran, Mr. Hardiman seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? That's a 5-0. All right.
Thank
Good
you
luck
very
with the rest
much.
of your process.
Appreciate it.
Got more hurdles to jump.
Just getting started.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a nice night.
Good luck. I want to interrupt whatever rest of the meeting you have, but good seeing you guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody have a chance to review the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Do we have any discussion or a motion?
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes from May 6, 2025.
Mr. Curran, Mr. Hardiman seconds. Any discussion? None. All those in favor? That's 5-0. Anybody want to bring anything else up? Are we all set here?
I think we're all set.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close.
I'll move to close the meeting.
Mr. Hardiman gives a second. All those in favor? 5-0. Right now, no applications for July. So we're scheduled for July 22nd, June 23rd, so 6 more days. And right now, we have no other applications, unless he refiles. Right. So that's it.
Yeah.
July 22nd, 6:30 PM is the meeting, right?
July 22nd, 6:30.
If we get a meeting, if we get
If there is one, yes.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.